Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rotary Club's Quarterly Club Assembly, an annual meeting. I'm Steve Wicks, and I'm honored to serve as president this year.
Steve, we're getting major
Electronic devices.
Major echo.
Major echo. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Joyce, you hear it?
Echo.
Joy, do you want to ask all your Zoom attendees their mics?
Yeah, we're all muted. Oh, wait. Now we're all
Hello?
muted.
Am I still echoing?
No, you are not. Thank you.
Okay,
Hallelujah.
thanks, Joy.
Yeah.
So please silence your electronic devices. This month in March is Women's History Month. On this day in history, March 17th, 1910, the Campfire Girls organization was established as the first interracial, non-sectarian American organization for girls. Judy Schroeder will deliver today's reflection. And Judy, thank you for stepping up on short notice when I asked for someone to do the reflection today.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. 3 years ago, on St. Patrick's Day, down in the Frangipani room, thanks to Hank Walters, we had a wake for my favorite Irishman. I'd like to share with you I reflect on the lessons I learned from Ed Mongovin. Right off the bat, I learned about the danger of stereotypes. I was sure that a good Catholic like Ed would not be interested in the divorced Protestant. And I was sure he would not accept without reservation my son, who is gay. Fortunately, I was wrong on both scores. Soon after we were married, I noticed that his children called him to ask for his advice. I realized that he didn't offer advice unless it was asked. What a concept. Whenever a workman came to the house, he was always interested in what he was doing. He appreciated a job well done, whether that was fixing a pipe or performing cataract surgery. He was courteous to everyone. Sometimes I cringed when he called a young person sir or ma'am, but that was his way. And he expected other people to treat him with courtesy as well. We walked out of a French restaurant because he thought a waiter was rude. Once my daughter was telling me about a problem she was having at work with a colleague. She said, "Mom, I've tried everything and nothing seems to be working." I said, "Well, this is something I never would have said before I married Ed, but," and you're going to have to excuse my language here because his vocabulary was far saltier than mine. "Maybe the guy's just an asshole." A few weeks later, I asked how things were going, and she said, "Oh, he left. I think it was either that or get fired." Ed taught me that not everything was my fault, and not all problems were mine to fix. He was very much about living in the present. The time to do it is now, he said. But he also respected the past. He had this vast Irish family with 22 nieces and nephews, and he kept a calendar on the wall with all their birthdays so he wouldn't forget. And he would call up old friends from decades past just because he hadn't talked to them for a while, especially if he thought they might be lonesome. But he also prepared for the future. Even though I didn't want to hear it, he told me exactly what I was to do when he died. I knew where all the files were. He sat my son and daughter-in-law down one Christmas and said, "You're busy, but as the parents of 2 young children, you need to have wills and powers of attorney." They did. Ed's motto was, "There's only one way out of here. The important thing to do is to live each day respectfully, honorably, and joyfully." Yeah, never forget the joy. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Thank you, Judy. Dave Meyer will introduce our guests today. I think this will be quite easy.
We have no guests present with us today. Do we have any guests online?
Dave, the answer is no. We do not have any guests online either.
Okay, please bring some guests to the next meeting.
And Joy, how many members do we have online today?
Steve, we just had Charlie Osborne join us, so that puts us at 9.
9 today. Okay, thank you, Joy.
You bet.
And now, as I've done the other 2 assemblies in which I've been president, we have special music.
Hi, Zoom people.
Okay, Mark was recruited only yesterday. I sang this song as a radical in high school, so I already knew it. It's complicated. Mark just got the music yesterday and was kind enough to do the tenor role. So here we are in These Delightful Pleasant Groves by Purcell. Let us celebrate, let us celebrate, let us celebrate our happy, happy loves. In these delightful pleasant groves, in these delightful pleasant groves, let us celebrate, let us celebrate, let us celebrate our happy, happy loves. Let's pipe, pipe and dance, let's pipe, pipe and dance, dance and love. Laugh and sing, the lost. It's every happy, happy living thing. In the cheerful spring, in the cheerful spring, let's pipe, pipe and dance, Those pipe peddlers dance and laugh, laugh and sing. Those every happy, happy living thing. Revels in the cheerful spring. Revels in the cheerful spring.
Thank you very much. Rotary birthdays. Hannah Hirsch has a birthday today. And on the 20th, Monica Kroner. One anniversary to celebrate, Sandy Keller, who's here with us today, total of 9 years as a Rotarian. And on the 19th, our state senator, Shelley Yoder, will celebrate 13 years with the club. Announcements, don't forget the Rotary District Conference, May 8th and 9th at the Galt House in Louisville. We have several of us registered so far. We'd love to see more. Lots of fun things to do Friday night. Saturday will be a business session, lots of things to learn, lots of interesting things. So see me if you want to know more, or you can register at rotaryallstars.com. Chamber Business After Hours this month, March 25th, 5:30 to 7:30 at One World Catering. See Chris MG with the Chamber or me for more information. District Grant Cycle, we've started the new cycle. And right now, the applications, you'll see copies on your tables. We're coming down to the deadline in terms of applications. If you're interested or if you have any questions, Sarah Laughlin is sitting at the back table there. Also, Diana Hoffman might be able to help you as well. But we'd love to see organizations apply for what we hope will be a $6,000 district grant. So our master agreement with the IMU allows them to bump us when their large meetings are fully booked. So April 14th is one of those days. And so our gathering that day will include lunch and a speaker during the Heading Home Regional Housing Summit at the Convention Center. And we'll share more details in the weeks ahead, more logistics to work out. But just start thinking on your calendars that April 14th, we will not be meeting here in the Union. Rotary Book Club, save the date. It's the 22nd of April, 7 p.m. at the home of Judy Schroeder. The book this time is Audrey McCluskey's Girl Child. We heard from Audrey as a speaker several weeks ago. If she's as good a writer as she was a speaker, it's definitely worth the read. So see Sally Gaskell or Judy Schroeder if you have questions. Community service. We need 2 club members to work Meals on Wheels for a couple of hours the morning on Friday, March 27th. See Diana Hoffman if you want to help or you want to learn more. And then finally, I sent out a P-mail about the death of John Poling, husband of one of our longtime members. If you have any questions about that, see me. The visitation is tomorrow. Tyler, if you want to cue up my PowerPoint. So I'm going to start with the celebration of service. This goes back to March 4th, Wheels on Wheels Phase 3. So Marilyn Wood and Diana Hoffman worked at Meals on Wheels, and they filled 5 carts with groceries. You can see the picture on the right with one of the carts. So they did a lot of groceries in 2 hours. So thank you, Diana and Maryland. So now I'm going to turn to kind of recapping 9 months year to date of my presidency. So here are the club service projects that we've done so far, starting with the Rotary Toast fundraising dinner, and I'll come back to that in a minute or two. The Teachers Warehouse Supply Drive, Salvation Army bell ringing, Hoosier Hills Food Bank, several phases of Meals on Wheels, RILA 2025 at Bradford Woods. Joyce Harder carried the ball for us there, with several of us at Hoosiers Outrun Cancer, and then FutureCast, which is an economic and community development endeavor. So we've done lots of things. You know, when I spoke in July, I had the phrase service, service, service. And so far, we've done a lot, and I think we can do more. So here's what's on deck. So we have the Meals on Wheels on the 27th, which is a relatively small project. May 21st is the Wonder Lab Summer Blast Off. Spring and probably in its summer, there'll be multiple My Sister's Closet opportunities as they get ready for their move. I don't know the dates yet, but as part of the recent Bloomington Rotary Foundation grant, Lake Monroe Water Fund, there'll be a native tree planting for club members to do. And Michelle has her hand up. Good. Okay, so for those online, April 18th, as long as the area is not underwater. The area is underwater, it'll be a Saturday at a later date. And then finally, early July, we start the next cycle, Teachers Warehouse Annual Supply Drive, and we need lots of Rotarians for that. So now dollars. My wife is in a sorority that they run the Bloomington Thrift Shop. Cindy Neidhart's in that same sorority. Ron, I think your wife Cheryl is a member. But their grants this year, they recently announced they're $60,000 in grants, which is whoa. And then when Peter Schultz from Little 500 was here a couple of weeks ago, you know, he talked about, and I can't remember if their number was 60,000 or 70,000. And I was overwhelmed. And I thought, gosh, you know, what are we doing in Rotary? And we're doing a whole lot more than I even realized. So here's just an impact, and this includes, in the case of the Rotary Toast, which is the first entry, the charity of choice for Pat Wilson, the recipient, was the Habitat for Humanity Club at the Bloomington High School North. And the three clubs and Bloomington Rotary Foundation raised $25,000. Okay, so far this year to date, the club and donor members of the club have already given $18,000 to the Rotary Foundation, which is used to eradicate polio and do lots of projects around the world. Refugee expenses. So far, Bloomington Rotary Foundation and club and foundation donors, $12,500, most of which was to ensure justice for a member of the refugee family that we sponsored. 6,000 Meals on Wheels, that was the district grant project. Wonder Lab, $6,000 grant from the Bloomington Rotary Foundation. Lake Monroe Water Fund, $4,000. So far this year, the club has given $1,900 to Teachers Warehouse. That's a subtotal of $73,400. Jeff Richardson is going to speak to us here in a little bit about scholarships. But the number that I heard was anywhere between 11,500 to 13,000. So you total it all up and we're in the range of 85,000. And that's very impressive. So and remember, you're all members of this club. You're all members of the Bloomington Rotary Foundation. Two separate organizations, but we work very closely together, and together we make a big impact. So staying with money, here's where we stand as of yesterday. We have roughly about 12,000 between checking, money market, and a small CD. We have almost $7,000 of member receivables, which is higher than I'd like. Total assets about 20,000 bucks. Drilling down the receivables, $4,800 over 90 days. Most of this should be collectible. Some will need to be written off. This time of year, we have some members that go away for the winter. Oftentimes, they'll pay us when they come back in town. We've had some glitches on members not receiving invoices. So if you haven't paid Rotary for a while, you might want to ask Mandy on your way out if you owe anything. In terms of payables, we're current on our payables, except we owe $750 to the district, which we'll pay in April for RILA. Year-to-date income is $7,000. We budgeted a break even. We've saved money in a lot of little ways, but the big savings has been in personnel costs. When Natalie left, she continued to work from Tennessee, but much fewer hours. And so, many of us stepped up and did the work. And on the board, Mark Peterson and John Zodi did a lot. And then here at the club level, a small group of you helped cover the front desk during weekly meetings. That made a big difference. So we're in good shape. Now we're fully staffed, and we'll probably be operating at kind of a break even for the rest of the year unless we have some surprises. Programs, one of our club's strong point. We have a really great mix of diverse, interesting speakers. I have very little to do this. This is Michael Shermis and his committee, and week in, week out, we have great programs. Our speakers for the next quarter are booked. And as I mentioned, we'll have some alternate locations in the months ahead as we get kicked out of the union. Programs, something for you to think about and give me feedback. So I've been starting right at noon because I want to squeeze in time for membership like quizzes and Mystery Rotarian. And I like to remind members as often as possible about Rotary International, and we're part of a larger group. But then I'm thinking, particularly for working members who roll in right at noon and then have to leave shortly after 1, do they get that informal social networking time, sitting at the table, getting to know their fellow Rotarians? So I guess I have that concern because I will notice from the front someone coming in, they get their food as I'm starting the program. Sometimes they're sitting at a table by themselves. Well, they're not meeting new people. If they're in business, they're not making other Rotarians familiar about their business or the not-for-profit for which they work. So something to think about. So maybe I should cut down on announcements and rely on the roundabout, but some of us read the roundabout, others do not. The reflection, I budget 3 minutes. We ask for 3 minutes. We've had really interesting reflections. Sometimes they go much longer than 3 minutes. I've had some people tell me it's really hard to do a reflection in 3 minutes. So, I'm looking for feedback both from people who like to give reflections and people who listen to reflections. So tell me what you think. Roundabout, another strong area for the club in which I have little involvement. I really love things that run well without my active involvement. Well written, it's distributed on time each week. Mandy is getting up to speed. There's a fair amount of technology involved, so she's doing more and more. Communications, we're frequently releasing high quality posts on social media. I'm still on Facebook, so I'm usually seeing them and liking them, but there aren't very many others. So, you wonder in social media, are we reaching the readers that we want to reach? And that's a challenge. Committees, I won't go down through all the committees, but the level of engagement varies by committee, really driven by the time that the chairperson has, the level of committee member involvement, and the opportunities in the world around us. I'll give an example here. Late last summer, Alan and the Peace Building Committee did a lot of work on a statement for Gaza. And something like that has to be crafted very carefully. And about the time they were ready to roll something, the situation in Gaza changed overnight to where what we were going to say really didn't make sense anymore. And it's changed a number of times since then. So, but to be a committee chair, you're not asked to do all the work. So if our committees are going to run well, there have to be committee members who are willing to step up and do a lot. So areas for improvement. And I'm starting with myself. Membership. So Lori Garrity is our membership chair. She let me know early in the summer that due to a surprise diagnosis involving her husband's health, and she asked for and was granted a leave of absence just from her board member role and also her role as membership chair. And so no surprise, Tracy stepped up and did a really good job, and then she left in December. So we've fallen behind a little bit on new member orientation. We've fallen behind a little bit on prospective member processing. I haven't made the cold sales calls that I'd hoped to make. So right now, Lori and I are trying to get organized and get going, and we'll probably need a revamped membership committee to kind of help us catch back up. But while we're on membership, we're in pretty good shape. We're down 2 from when I spoke in November. And you can see the breakdown. In the honorary category, we went from 5 to 6 as Steve Moberly chose to move to an honorary status. We have leave of absence. We've gone from 2 to 3. John Armstrong asked for a leave of absence and was granted that. Organizational members, we have 44, and that is for 14 different organizations. Here's who we've lost since November 18th, all organizational members. Stacia Briggs, Chamber of Commerce, Jeff Jackson, Chaz Mottinger with the City of Bloomington, Betsy Trotsky with the Community Foundation. And then we've added organizational member Jeremy Graham with the NAACP. And then we've added Daniel Schlegel as an individual member. Daniel's with the Monroe County History Center. So anyway, we're holding our own, but we can do more. So social, I had lots of big ideas, and then Natalie resigned and I got pulled in different directions, but we've had a really good holiday party. I really liked our Constitution Day partnership with the law school. The club picnic is coming up for June 23rd. Still up in the air are some possible outings to Lilly Library, Brown County Playhouse. Love to see us get to the Boys and Girls Club. And we have some people working on some of those. And so hopefully at least 1 and maybe 2 or 3 of these will still happen. Areas for improvement, parking. I have been spectacularly unsuccessful in dealing with parking. Typically on rainy days when you see students coming in and parking their cars so they don't have to get wet walking to class. And they'll pay their $20 at the end of the day. And then on days with numerous campus visitors. The Atwater and Henderson garages are too far for some members to walk. It works for others. We did create a guide for the Henderson garage. There's a little bit of technology involved in getting out of the Henderson garage. So Mandy has some printouts. You want to hold those up, Mandy? That has 6 easy steps getting out of the Henderson garage. And I can send you an electronic copy, and I'll do one for Atwater if you need me to. But the thing, I'd hate for someone to come to our meeting, get to the Henderson garage, and then be unable to leave or pay $30 for the right to leave. So let's try to avoid that. One member did suggest, chartering transport from an accessible parking area off campus to and from the IMU. If there's any interest in that, Tyler has his hand up. Oh, okay. If there's any interest in that, let me know. It'd be a lot of logistics involved.
Now I can speak. One upside, if you do get stuck in the Henderson garage, is that the office for parking operations is in there and you can go and get some help from them. Not so much with Atwater.
Very true. Thank you. Couple of housekeeping items. First of all, remind people about what we do for Happy Dollar. So it's really the opportunity that members and sometimes guests to share if you have any personal good news, anything with your organizational announcements. It's also a vehicle for us to raise money for good causes. There's no minimum pledge, but please give something. Even if it's only $1. We're having more and more people announcing how happy they are, and there's no money behind it. So if you can give more than $1, please go for it, but at least give something. Making headway on the attendance sheet. Remember, sign in regardless. And if you're not going to eat, put a circle around your name or write on there not eating. And that way we'll make sure we don't charge you for a meal. Yes. Yes. Yes, if you make a pledge and then you reach in your wallet, you don't have anything, or certainly for those online, they have to do it by pledge. And you can always come back and talk to Mandy at the end of the meeting and say, hey, I thought I had cash. I don't, $5 or whatever the number is. So Mandy started in mid-January. We're feeding her tasks at a measured pace. About the time she gets her head above water, we're putting more water in the bucket. Doing a whole lot more today than she did a month ago, and she'll be doing more a month from now than she does today. There is a lot of technology to learn. My Rotary, DACDB, Stripe, PayPal, SurveyMonkey, SignUp Genius, Benivity, Mailchimp, Zoom, and many more. So it's daunting. Natalie is still helping from afar. She's training Mandy in some areas, and she continues to weigh in when needed. She's really done a good job for us since she moved to Tennessee. So I'll pivot to Rotary, 7 areas of focus. You've seen this slide before. Reminder that March is Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene Month. We hopefully will have time for Happy Dollars today. Proceeds will be going to the Bloomington Rotary Foundation. And Tyler, we have a very short Rotary International water video. Time for Happy Dollars. Is anyone happy that I am done with my presentation?
No, this is not for that. This is for $5 happy. Get it ready, hon. Because I was so moved by Judy's reflection. I always liked Ed. I just thought he was just the nicest guy, and now I know why. So I would like to give $5 happy for my favorite American Greek Cypriot, Gus.
Here's $20. I just learned last evening that my 16-year-old granddaughter has been selected to participate in a U.S. Congress Deutsche Bundestag exchange program. She will spend her senior year with a host family in Germany, and I'm so thrilled.
I'll put in a quick $5 here in memory of my grandmother, Mary McGarry, who was Irish, one of the immigrants to South Africa that set the stage for my family and led to everything else that went and happened with us. I have 5 siblings, and oldest brother is named Patrick. And beyond that, my mother said, no, they are all going to be French. But we have Irish in my family, for which I'm very grateful.
Anybody online?
Not yet, Michael.
I'm happy. My grandson got a direct admit at IU School of Business, but he's a California boy, so I don't know if he's going to show up.
I will honor my Irish ancestors and Patrick's. 2 of his grandparents came directly from Ireland 150 years ago. You get that.
I think we're all set. Oh, wait, Sarah?
Well, I guess I should say something about the Laughlin family too, or Lachlan, as maybe it was, or O'Loughlin or McLaughlin, we're not really sure. But Tim's grandfather, who emigrated from Ireland in 1847, right early in the potato famine, had 15 children, of which my father-in-law was number 14.
I guess this is $5 happy for myself. I managed on Sunday afternoon to help Amina and Jawed file their federal and state taxes. And I learned that Jawed is holding 3 gig economy jobs outside of his regular full-time job. And if anyone has ever filed taxes for gig work, I recommend an accountant and budgeting.
Okay, we have time for one more. Steve Engel, do you have your hand up?
I'm happy because it's St. Patrick's Day. And my father's name was Samuel Mulligan, and his parents emigrated from Ireland after the potato famine.
So when you're golfing, you can claim a mulligan. All right, that's enough. Jeff Richardson is going to bring us up to date with scholarships.
I'm going to give a kind of a quick update on some of the changes and then bring us to where we are right now. So after some robust discussion with the scholarship committee, we discussed and then made a few changes for our 2026 applicants. We added need as one of the factors for consideration. Grades and services in school and community are still paramount. Let me give you one quick example of need and how it impacts. Sometimes we see kids that have, let's say Judy has 10 activities and Susie has 20. But with a little digging, we find out that the reason Judy has 10 is she's also working 20 hours a week. And Susie is not working. And, you know, God bless those that don't have to work through high school and college. That's great. But people that do, we feel should be acknowledged. And there's a certain stigma, surprisingly, to kids acknowledging they have to work still. It certainly was true when I was in high school. And so that is why we want to factor that in. So these are not need-based, but they're need-informed. We want to know if people are working, and we want to know how that impacts their ability to do all the things that they do. All of these kids, I might add, somehow, work or no work, they have amazing grades. You know, I look 4.7, 4.3. Occasionally there'll be a 3.9, but amazing. The next addition is that we've added a new scholarship for Monroe County student going to IU. This is a standalone scholarship. If we don't have someone who's qualified, as in last year, we just don't fill it. That money is redirected or carried over. We also have raised our scholarship from from 2,000 to 2,500. Sally Gaskell reminds me back in the day, and it's 2012, we were at $500. So we've moved up slowly, and this makes it more appealing for young people to apply. And a number of them in their essays, which I've read most of them so far, we've got a few more waiting for reference letters, but many of them reference how this is going to really help them financially. What we did not do, and that is, this was a very robust discussion. There are some people within the club and certainly on the committee who wanted the scholarships to be only for kids going to Indiana schools. And that was part of the discussion. And after a very lengthy discussion, it was decided that we would not do that. We are letting kids go to Harvard or Yale or Stanford or Purdue or Indiana, wherever they want to go. That's the decision. And so that debate, I wouldn't say is over forever, but that's where we are right now. Just as an FYI, interestingly, last year we had 4 scholarships. 3 went to Purdue and 1 went to Ball State. But that is unusual. We usually have some out-of-state people in the mix. This year we have several applicants that are applying to both in-state and out-of-state schools, mostly in-state. The next steps, we have the initial review of all applicants this week. This is ongoing. We're right now evenly split between young women and young men. All local schools are represented, plus we have, as we did last year, some homeschool applicants. On April 2nd, we review the applicants, the scholarship committee on April 2nd. On April 17th, we do the final interviews. Last year, we had 9 people. All of them could have won. I mean, without exception. They were amazing. So, in fact, we had a tie for 3rd. And so we just, one of the members said, I'll cover that. And so we gave out 4 scholarships again last year, as I mentioned earlier. And then we have the celebration on May 12th of the winners right here at our luncheon, which often makes me weep. They're just amazing kids, and I'm in awe of all of these young people. I want to give a special thanks to Hank Walter, who's been Hank over there has been on our committee for several years. He is not able to continue. And so I want to thank him especially because he's been very engaged on this committee. I mean, not just a member, but fully engaged. And I mention it also because I welcome any of you that might be interested in being on this committee to please see me afterwards. It's really, I'm on a lot of boards and commissions and committees. This is by far the most uplifting committee I'm on. I often weep. That's the only downside. You might end up weeping during the interviews with these kids, or as soon as they get out, start weeping. So it's that's the risk. I want to also thank Amy Osajima, who has been amazing. She's the former chair, but she has been so helpful, especially on the technology side. I am the least tech-savvy person on the planet, and she's been so helpful with that, as has Jonas Sheng, our new co-chair, and he's been extremely helpful. I had a few health issues that some of you know about, and he stepped up and has done an amazing job. So I want to thank both Jonas and Amy for carrying this process forward. And I just want to underscore, every one of these kids, every application you read, every essay you read, every time you listen to them, it just gives you hope. We can move forward in this country, in this nation, in this county, in this state. And I am so uplifted by this and so honored to be a part of this particular committee. Please consider joining us, and thank those of you who have made special contributions to this particular program. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. The Scholarship Committee clearly has been one of the strong committees that where I've had very little involvement, and it's just more, okay, let me know what you're doing and I'll try to keep up. So thank you. Ron Barnes and Alan Barker will speak on behalf of the nominating committee report, and then we'll have an election.
Thank you, President Steve. It's always great this time of year to see what our colleagues in Rotary will step up in leadership roles. And it's also great to chair a committee that most of the people on the committee do all the work. And it's particularly Alan Barker. We call the fact that he did heavy lifting, but I lived in Texas for a while. Down there, we called it taking the bull by the horns. But it's a pleasure to ask Alan to share the slate that we have for you.
Thank you very much, Ron. And hi, everybody. It's great to see you. Exciting moment for the club as we think about our leadership for next year. But before we, and by the way, creating lasting impact is the theme for next year. So I just wanted to put that up there on the screen so that you can all see and think about what you might be doing in your own personal life and within the club to create lasting impact. Can you hear me? Okay, good. So, without further ado, first of all, before we go into the actual slate for the year, there are a few board members who we want to thank dearly for their hard work and support for the year. And so, thanks to Tracy Jovanovic. And by the way, I should mention that Tracy is also a member of this nominating committee, but she's not with us right now. So, Tracy, Andrea Murray, Caleb Poor, who was with us and is no longer part of the club, but so much enjoyed while he was here. Jeff Richardson, thank you very much. Jim Shea, and then John Zodi. I want to give a special shout out to John Zodi, who's been our treasurer this year, and with Steve and with everybody involved in the organization, has just done a remarkable job in getting us out of QuickBooks into DACDB and sorting out everything that we needed to do for the club. So, you know, I guess a round of applause to John, even though he's not with us, to thank us. So moving on to this year, we are just about there. We have Sam Udak, who's going to be our president, Hank Walter, our president-elect, and then immediate past president is Steve Wicks. So those three are members of our board. And then we've got Mark Peterson, who was our secretary last year, who's moving into the treasurer role, which is really wonderful. Thank you very much. Secretary is TBA. We were just about there with the choice for secretary, as well as the director at large. And then we have a number of either new members or returning members of the board that I wanted to mention here. We've got Jonas Chang, we've got Katie Sereniak, we've got Leslie Kutsenkow, Heidi Schultz, Lynn Schwartzberg, and Jim Sims. So it's going to be great to see how the leadership of the board takes us into the next year. And so altogether, this is pretty much what it looks like. We have one member to be announced, and that would be the director at large. And then the role of the secretary is going to be sorted out between the members of the board as they are right now. And probably that will be updated within the next week or so. So with that, I would like to move, as a member of this club, that we accept the slate for next year for the 26-27 Bloomington Rotary Board. Do we have somebody who'd like to second it? Oh, Ron Bart. Well, it's good. Sarah Laughlin was, I think I will go with Sarah Laughlin. So moved. And at that point, are there any comments, discussions, questions? Anybody? Yep. Okay. So in that case, I think we're ready for a vote. So all those in favor, say aye. All those not in favor, say aye. Well, yes. Thank you to all of them. And congratulations to everybody who's going to be on our board next year. Oh, I'm so sorry. You know, I've been neglecting our online group. Can we bring the online group into? We can bring them in here. There they are. We could take that vote once again. I think I'm confident that everybody in the room will say aye. But all those online, if you're in favor of the slate, say aye.
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 Good. Thank you very much. And all those not in favor. I think we're good. Thank you all very, very much.
Judy.
Forget that I need a microphone. Is everyone aware that Alon is going to be the nominee for district governor for several years from now? I don't know, 28, 29. So I don't know if everybody is aware of that or not.
Thank you. So after the meeting, we'll go and do a head count. It's going to be very close as to whether we have a quorum or not. We may be doing this vote again next week. So it's a small turnout, which we were concerned about with spring break. So, but we'll make sure we do it correctly. And if we don't have a quorum, we'll vote again next week. Joy?
We are up to 11 online, by the way. 11 members online.
11 members. Okay, good. Thank you. We should be okay, but we'll go through the numbers and make sure. So now we just have some free time that I'd like to open it up for member questions. Just you know, anything of the things we've talked about today, something you like about the club that you'd like to see us continue, something that you think needs improvement, just put up your hand and Michael will find you. And Joy, let us know if you have anyone online.
I just want to say, I'm sad. You have been such a wonderful president in so many ways, and so funny and so kind. And I already miss you.
Thanks, Connie, and I'll pay you afterwards. Thank you.
Leslie, you got something?
I do. I wanted to give an update on the Summer Blast Off event. We have about 20 partners. The kits for the Rotarians to make are in progress. We've worked with the city for permits. We expect a very large turnout. So hopefully everybody can make it from 3 to 8 p.m. on May 21st on the last day of school. Even if you don't have kids, please stop by. There are adult activities as well. So expect big explosions and a plethora of science.
So would anyone like to see me try to figure out a way to start later than noon, start at 12:05? I don't know what gets cut, but just so that there is a little bit more informal social time. And once again, I'm particularly sensitive to the working members who can't get here at 11:30. They're getting here closer to noon and then they're zipping out at right after 1 o'clock. So any comments? Michelle has a comment.
So I like hearing about Rotary International and seeing a video, but maybe that could be running with subtitles as people are coming in before you start. That's one way to trim time.
Good idea.
Yeah, I would just add to that, build on that. There could also be a scroll when you're coming in of anniversaries and birthdays. You can read it as you come in.
That would all be very easy for me to set up if that's what we wanted to do.
Could the same be true for announcements? That would probably be a little bit tougher.
I'm kind of reluctant to bring this up, but I feel like I should. And I've talked with Michael about this. We've been on the program committee. But sometimes I feel that we don't change or alter the program because of events that are happening right here in our own backyard. I wish Hank was here, but how many months or years ago was when the police stood on the roof of this very building and aimed their guns down at students that were protesting? We need to discuss things like that and bring them out into the open. And I wish we could do more of that. Thank you.
I think Sarah had a.
As a former chair and perennial member of the Community Service Committee, I would not be in favor of eliminating the announcements about upcoming events because we get a lot of volunteers as a result of those announcements. And I'm afraid that we would have a hard time if we didn't have that opportunity.
I will say, just kind of as my particular philosophy, that if you're a club member, I try to include your events. So let's say if Beacon or the NAACP, both of whom are club members, have something going on, I try to include that in the announcements. If another not-for-profit in the community that doesn't have a direct tie to the club, you know, somebody says, hey, someone so-and-so is having something, I typically won't announce that and we'll say, well, you know, maybe Happy Dollars is the right time to do that. But I try to keep that announcement as a kind of something you get for your membership. So Beacon, My Sister's Closet, NAACP, and there are a few others as well. Reflection, 3 minutes. Thoughts on should it be longer? Connie?
I think we should use a timer. That's what they do in Toastmasters and it works.
Any other thoughts?
About 4 minutes.
Any reason why?
It's better than 3.
I see Glenda with her hand up. I see Forrest with his hand up.
There's just an axiom of public speaking that if you give people 3 minutes, they'll take 5 or 6. So if you stick to 3, we'll probably still be going in the right lens. If you want to drop it down to 2, then you might get to 3.
I was going to say something similar. I think 3, we should stick with 3. The only other thing I can think is maybe we could do the announcements or the information about RI every other week instead of every week. But who knows if that would really save us much. And it's been good for us to be introduced and reminded about all of the RI programs.
And roughly half of our club members make the voluntary donation to the Rotary Foundation. And the Sunrise Club in town, the Thursday morning club, of course, they only have 15 or 20 members. It's required, and then it's part of their dues. And of course, their dues are higher than us. Our membership is a little bit different. You know, we have a lot of not-for-profit representatives in the club. We're not all made up of millionaires. So we just approach it differently. But I do want to remind members, especially newer members, that we are part of something bigger. And then in terms of segments, you know, I think of new member ceremonies and Paul Harris ceremonies as kind of being membership. So, you know, when one of those occurs, there's 5 minutes there. So that, you know, that pushes out other things.
I've been very impressed with the way you have handled everything that's gone into the meetings this year. I think you've packed it very full, and I think you have also educated many of us about things that some of us have forgotten along the way. So I congratulate you on doing all of that. The profile, I think, is a very interesting and nice addition to what we hear during the week.
The Mystery Rotarian, it's fairly easy for those who have, you know, are in the public realm. So like, for instance, Jim Sims has held elective office in town, so he was an easy one to do. There are others that are much harder. I've approached some and they've respectfully said, you know, I really don't want to be the Mystery Rotarian. Others have been really helpful. I really liked Phil Amerson. You know, he talked about doing his duet with Bill Hudnut and falling as a Santa, but finishing giving out the gifts before being taken to the hospital in his Santa suit. We have 160 people total in this club, and they're really impressive, fascinating individuals. And, you know, we just don't get the opportunities to know each other. And so the Mystery Rotarian, and then some of the quizzes that I've added in, like who doesn't work out at the Y or who isn't a singer, just trying, you know, without embarrassing anyone, just to, you know, shine a spotlight on all the amazing people in this club. It's a lot of work, but I've really enjoyed getting to know about all the things people in this club have done in the past, and many of whom are still doing. So we are about out of time. Tyler, if you can put up, well, let me see. I want to thank today's volunteers, Hao-Shi Wang, Dave Meyer in a couple of different roles, Joy Harder, Judy Schroeder, Ashley Wesley, Michael Shermis, Connie Shakalis, and Mark Peterson for volunteering today. Next meeting, March 24th, will be here in the Georgian Room. The topic will be Bloomington's Giving Circles, how 100 women and 50 men who care support local charities. Our speakers will be Kathy Romy and Ken Buzzard. And Tyler, if you would please share the graphic for the 4-way test, and please stand if you're able and join me. of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill?
Better friendships.
Fourth, will it be
will be
beneficial to all
all
concerned?
concerned.
And fifth, is it
Is it
fun?
fun?